Guys, you will find a new manhwa at the end of the video. Go watch it and click the like button. Thank you all for the support, especially the friends who supported the channel financially previous video. Far behind the collapsed stone hidden among rocks, a small group of survivors looked on. John, crouched in the shadows, asked, What just happened?" John's voice trembled, barely louder than a whisper. He stood several paces behind the party, the dim light of the cavern casting long, uneasy shadows over his pale face. His breathing was shallow, eyes wide with disbelief as he tried to process the chaos that had just erupted before them. Moments ago, the battlefield had been still, ominous. Yes, but still. Then came the angel. Wings radiant and eyes glowing with power, the angel had seemed too majestic, too holy to belong in this forsaken place. And yet the very moment its feet touched the cracked stone floor, it drew its weapon, not to protect but to kill. And its target? The Black Scythe. John had frozen. He murmured to himself, lips dry. An angel just showed up. But then, why attack Black Scythe? The others around him weren't handling it much better. Jeffrey was pacing with short, nervous steps, chewing on the edge of his glove. He asked, glancing back toward the battle, "Will the Black Scythe be okay?" The mood seemed grim, Jury said, arms crossed, but her voice lacked its usual sharpness. "He'll be fine. No matter how strong the angel is, it's still the Black Scythe we're talking about." Jeffrey hesitated, said, "But angels can pop heads, just like that." Boom, Jory muttered, eyes narrowing. "Oh, that's true. Maybe it is dangerous." John, however, wasn't afraid for the Black Scythe. In fact, he was rooting against him. He thought bitterly, watching from the safety of distance. "Yes, good. Come on, Angel. Kill him, please. Go for it." He clenched his fists, heart pounding with hope. The twisted kind that only festers after spending too long in the shadow of someone stronger. And then it happened. The angel cut off the Black Scythe's arm. John's mouth opened in sheer glee. "Nice! Go, Angel!" But his celebration was short-lived, because the Black Scythe didn't even flinch. A shimmer of black smoke dissipated from the figure, revealing the truth. A clone. The real Black Scythe stood unharmed, a dark grin spreading across his face, and he inquired, "What? How? There are two of him?" Just like that, the tables turned. The angel was fast, but the Black Scythe was faster. A deadly dance unfolded before them. Blades clashed, but slowly, steadily, the angel's wings began to tear. One by one, they were ripped from his back like petals from a flower. By the end of it, the heavenly being stood barely upright, bloodied, broken, and wingless. Then came the screech. It echoed through the cavern, high, unnatural, and wrong. The very air trembled. John dropped to his knees, covering his ears, eyes wide with primal fear. Around him, Jury and Jeffrey let out strangled gasps, their bodies stiff, locked in place. "Ah, ah, ah!" The ground trembled beneath them. John slowly lifted his head. The dust began to settle, and through it, he saw ruin. The cavern wall was shattered, its edges glowing with residual magic. Lying on the rubble-strewn floor were the remains of the angel, his body torn in two, upper half barely intact, wings gone. John said to himself, "It's over." He stared at the wreckage, jaw clenched. Disappointment flooded him. The one hope snatched away just like that. The Black Scythe, untouchable as always. But then his eyes sharpened, and he said, "Wait a minute." As a necromancer, John had spent years dealing with corpses, human, monster, and occasionally worse. But this was different. An angel's corpse. The potential was unimaginable, and he said, "Could it be possible?" His pulse quickened. His hands trembled, not with fear, but with excitement. He added, "If I could control that angel, if I raised him as one of my own," he could feel it now, the magic forming in his mind, the threads of a forbidden spell curling at the edge of his thoughts. A weapon, no, a chance, a tool powerful enough to finally tip the scales, to bring down the one man no one could touch, the Black Scythe. He grinned faintly, eyes glinting with dark ambition. He added, "This could change everything." On the other side, Ryu stood a few paces away. His expression unreadable, the silver glint of his scythe caught the dim light, still humming with residual energy from the strike that had ended it all. His eyes narrowed as he looked down at Sariel's twitching body, and he said, "He looks like a corpse, but he's not dead, not yet." The mark of death, still active, painted a faint aura around the angel's body, a threadbare flicker of life force barely clinging to existence. A gust of stale air ruffled Ryu's cloak as he took a step forward, boots crunching over broken stone. He tilted his head thoughtfully and said, "I didn't expect it to end like this from a single moonlight slash. Either I've gotten stronger, or he was weaker than expected." After exchanging several blows with Sariel earlier, Ryu had taken his measure. Stronger than Ramiel, yes, but not by much. Perhaps his speed had been slightly higher, his aura slightly darker, but ranked 6th among the 7 archangels. That title now seemed laughable. Ryu said, "That wail of his at the end, it was unexpected. A fear-based ability?" A sneer tugged at Ryu's lips and added, "Too bad it didn't work. Anyone else might have been paralyzed, but I'm not anyone else." His resistance to status effects had reached an impressive 90.2%, further bolstered by 2 recently acquired rings, each granting a 40% bonus. The combined effect made him nearly immune to tricks like Sariel's. Then Ryu said, "I boosted my resistances precisely for moments like this. Good investment." With slow, deliberate steps, Ryu approached the fallen angel. Sariel's chest rose and fell with ragged gasps, but his ears twitched at the sound of approaching footsteps. His pale, blood-speckled face twisted into a sneer. Ryu said coolly, "As the archangel of death, you seem dangerously close to death yourself." Sariel coughed, blood bubbling at the edge of his lips. Ryu crouched, resting the butt of his scythe against the ground. His eyes glinted with casual disdain, and he said, "Ranked 6th? Was that fear-inducing shriek your only trick? No wonder you climbed the ranks. Just noise and fear. How disappointing." Sariel's glare held no shame, only rage. Even broken and dying, his pride remained intact. His voice came out as a rasping whisper. "Just kill me." Ryu leaned in slightly, smile faint, and said, "Before that, I have a few questions." Sariel spat, saying, "You think I'll answer them?" Ryu said, "You don't need to." Ryu didn't need Sariel's words, not when he could read thoughts as easily as one reads the pages of an open book. Ryu asked, "Are you archangels the ones behind the survival game? Or is it the system acting on its own?" Silence. Ryu asked again, "Who created the system?" Still silence. Ryu inquired, "What's the goal behind all this? Why the kidnapping? Why the trials?" Again, Sariel gave no verbal reply, but his mind, bitter and unguarded, spoke volumes. He was saying to himself, "Foolish human, how would I know something like that? I'm not one of the creators. Maybe Lord Raguel, rank 5, would know. Yes, perhaps he knows the origin." Ryu Min's eyes lit up subtly and said, "Raguel? So that guy holds the secrets I want." He dug deeper, searching Sariel's mind for any stray insight. But there was nothing new, only confirmation of what he'd already suspected. Then his senses twitched. A flicker on his radar, 60 meters away, an irregular breathing pattern. A presence filled with anticipation. Ryu turned his head slowly. A grin touched his lips when he saw the source. John Delgado, the party's necromancer. The man stood half-shrouded in darkness, staring intently at Sariel's corpse. His eyes gleamed with a hunger that could only belong to someone deeply obsessed with death. Ryu asked himself, "Why's he staring like that?" Curious, Ryu walked toward him, closing the distance until he could tap into Delgado's thoughts. He was saying to himself, "If the Black Scythe kills that angel, I might be able to raise it, turn it into my servant, though I'm not sure if it'll work on an angel." Ryu's brow lifted and said, "Ah, right. We had a necromancer in the party. He wants to collect Sariel's soul or reanimate the body, huh?" He chuckled inwardly and inquired, "Can a holy being even be turned undead? I'd like to see that." Stepping back, Ryu returned to the broken archangel. Sariel's mind was still filled with venom, and Sariel shouted, "Just kill me already, you arrogant scum!" Ryu raised his scythe and said, "I was planning to anyway." Sariel's eyes widened and inquired, "What?" With a sound like a hammer-shattering stone, the scythe slammed down, splitting Sariel's skull clean in two. A breath, then silence. Then message appeared. "You have defeated one of the 7 archangels, Sariel. Stat points plus 3,299. Gold plus 32,990,100. You have received condensed ether as a reward for killing Archangel Sariel. You have received Rune of Darkness. It will now be engraved on your body. Reputation with the demon faction has slightly increased. Plus Archangels defeated, 2 out of 7, completion. Reward, Ryu straightened. Dark mist curling faintly around his body as the rune etched itself into his skin, cold, burning, and powerful all at once. And he said, "So this is the Rune of Darkness, huh?" He opened the details. Rune of Darkness. Grants free manipulation of darkness to use 3 effects. Must be used in the absence of light. Flight. Forms wings of darkness. Barrier, a dark shield that can reflect or trap projectiles. Scatter, blade-like bursts of shadow. Hybrid physical/magic damage. Ryu's smile grew and said, "Versatile. I can fly, defend, and attack. Very nice. The light restriction doesn't matter either. I have Night of Death. I can make my own darkness." Without hesitation, he began distributing his new stat points. Strength, 15,368. Intelligence, 16,088. Agility, 16,160. Luck, 16,960. The boost from Minjuri's buff still lingered, magnifying his stats even further. No wonder Sariel felt weaker than Ramiel. With his title that doubled stats against holy beings, angels were doomed from the start. Then, movement caught his eye. John Delgado was approaching, careful, reverent, like a priest approaching a sacred altar. He knelt beside Sariel's corpse, whispering a low incantation. "Rise." Guys, go and watch this manhwa, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and write a comment.